We're going to have a conversation that we've been waiting to have for the longest time on the channel, and it's about who's the best rapper of all time. And there's so many different opinions on this topic, but we're going to do a King of the Hill style.
Yes, sir.
1v1 matchups. At the end of each round, the winner will stay. And by the end of the episode, we're going to crown who we think is the best rapper of all time. And let us know in the comments who you think is the GOAT of hip-hop. Let's get it started. We have Kendrick Lamar versus Kanye West to start off.
First matchup, and you know we had to do this one. I mean,
of course.
Kendrick's catalog is still so new for this conversation, and you guys know I'm a huge Kendrick stan myself, but, you know, my arguments that I had written down for Kendrick is I think when it comes to catalog, you could have that conversation. When it comes to being an MC and, you know, the overall technicality factor of his craft, there's not many people that come close to him in that regard.
For catalog, I'm with Kanye West. More classics, a lengthier catalog that's been amazing over time. But the only thing is that when it comes to rapping, I'm taking Kendrick every time. Like, Kendrick could rap circles around the
his immaculate quick flows and quirky little cadences that he's able to get into are some of my favorite. I think he's one of the best storytellers that the genre has ever seen. And even looking at like a fantastic feature run that he's had, you know, even when he started his career back in the 2010 decade, he never really misses on that front as well. What I will say about Kanye though is I feel like out of any other rapper, he probably has the best ear for production choices, and it's because, well, he's a fucking producer. So I mean, it does help.
We gotta separate that here though, just because if this was a conversation on the best hip-hop artist of all time, Kanye would definitely win this round. But as a rapper, if you're looking at like Kendrick's rhetoric on greed on a song like How Much a Dollar Costs, or if you're looking at his storytelling from different perspectives on Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, to me, Kanye West doesn't have the lyrical, you know, kind of dexterity that a Kendrick does.
Well, I will say this though, like just to play a bit of devil's advocate on that, even like looking at Kanye's discography, those like little pockets and moments within his catalog, example, you know, having the college dropout, the graduation run, looking at the moment with MBDTF and that whole redemption era, looking at the Life of Pablo moment, looking at the Wyoming sessions, I feel like there's no one that creates moments better than Kanye does in hip hop. So I feel like that was an addition that I gave for him, but I do think that Kendrick is a better rapper than Kanye West.
Kendrick is the better rapper.
Yes,
he moves on. Kanye West leaving so soon. But now we have Eminem that joins the conversation. And this is very interesting. I'll say this to start off. I think that as time has gone on, Eminem's catalog overall has aged a little bit more sour for me. But I do think that when you're looking on the technical components, Eminem is just a magician.
Okay,
bro.
so could I want to take you through a couple of things with Eminem. I have these in bullet points, and I want to know if you agree with me. Okay. Eminem is a top 5 lyricist of all time.
Yes.
Arguably. Okay. The most dominant rapper from the 2000 decade.
In terms of sales, absolutely. In
but
terms
also,
of the 3-album run.
But I'm talking about content matter as well, just being able to play on that
that's
level.
the thing is, I'm a content guy, and I think that Eminem had great subject matter earlier on, but as of late, it's as if he doesn't have much to rap about.
I also think he's the best horrorcore rapper of all time, that he also fits into that as well. As you said, one of the best 3-album runs of all time. Has some of the most cinematic writing that the genre has ever seen, and I think that's his best asset, is being able to take all of these beautiful woven-in stories, and I don't know if they're beautiful when you actually look at the content matter, because it gets quite gory and disgusting sometimes, but that's what I like about Eminem, is that value that he's giving you, where it's so real that you feel like you're immersed into that experience.
Again, I love Eminem, I think, as a tactician, the way that he forms his rhymes like fucking puzzles, the way that he can twist words and make words like fucking orange rhyme.
Yeah.
I love all of that, but I think that when I'm looking at overall, even let's say if we're looking at, let's say, different voices that these rappers could utilize, I really do prefer Kendrick's, let's say, frantic voice or kind of shrieky voice on something like Mona Lisa in comparison to, let's say, some of the accents on Encore, for example.
Yeah, but I
think
also,
even as range and versatility, I go Kendrick.
Range and versatility, I go Kendrick. I like his cadences better as well, and his discography is much better in my opinion, because the second half is super shaky.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that, you know, Eminem's sort of stinky vocal delivery and mishap in albums as of late
Yes, absolutely.
Down points?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I was also going to say this. There's also a beautiful sequencing to the beginning half of his catalog. Like, you have the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP. You have the Eminem Show. You have Encore. You have Relapse. You have Recovery. Like, I find the genius that he was actually able to weave in a story into the sequencing of his fucking albums. Like, I find that genius as well. So, I think what's going to make Kendrick advance for me on this one is just the second half of that discography, though. Like, you've gotten a lot of bad performances over the last couple of years, and I think it does sting a bit. But I will say this. Maybe Eminem is a better writer than Kendrick is. Maybe.
I think he's a better lyricist. He's definitely one of the fastest rappers of all time, which goes a long way for some people, but I think Kendrick Lamar is the superior poet.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
let's go with Kendrick on that one. Next up, we have the classic conversation from the 2010s decade. Who is the better rapper? Is it J. Cole or is it Kendrick Lamar?
Well, I will say this. I think J. Cole is one of the best rappers from the 2010 decade. That goes without doubt. Like, he has left his mark on hip-hop. Friday Night Lights is a top 3 mixtape of all time. You could argue that he's had one of the most dominant mixtape runs that we've seen from that decade. Delivered one of the best albums of the decade so far with the offseason. I will say that. The offseason is still in that upper echelon of rap albums for this decade so far. His contributions to his labels with Dreamville and what he's been able to do, even writing and, music-wise for them, has been fantastic, and his pen keeps getting better with age. That's another thing. So I feel like I haven't even seen the peak of his pen yet to be able to have this conversation.
I love Cole's mic presence. I think that the way that he attracts that he goes into every track with a sense of grace, of clarity. His articulation and voice as an MC is amazing, and I feel like he's kind of always been a mix of a bit of Nas in the sense of his imagination and streams of consciousness, with a mix of Eminem in terms of wordplay and just that competitive spirit that he's maintained for such a long time. When it comes to the catalog, I think it's a no-brainer that Kendrick does take him on that.
Yes, I do think so.
When it comes bar for bar, I'm still going with Kendrick on that.
Even storytelling, like if you want to go to For Your Eyes Only, like I think that's his best written song. I'm still thinking something like Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. I'm still taking something like Let's Say How Much a Dollar Cost. Maybe they're on the same level for me, but I still do prefer
But Cole
Kendrick's
is the
rap.
better feature artist. I'll
Yes,
go that
Cole
far.
does have the better feature run, and I will say this though, he does have a unanimous classic with 2014, and he has one of the best concept records of the 2010 decade with For Your Eyes Only, but I still do think
Kendrick stays
advances.
king, bro.
Okay, he's having a nice little run
And he's your
here.
favorite rapper of all time. So let's see how far he makes it through
Yeah.
here. Next up, we have the one and only Hova.
Absolutely, Jay-Z. And I think he has 4 certified classics. He has 444. He has Reasonable Doubt. He has the Blueprint, and he has the Black Album. There's other albums you could put in conversation there, like collaboration albums or whatever it is. But I think those are the albums I want to bring to this conversation. Dominant in 4 different decades. His pen has aged with grace. Still one of the best rappers in the game at the age of 52. Did a fantastic job at covering the luxury rap lane and the mafioso rap lane. One of the best to ever do it on that end. And his music birthed fucking Kanye West, for fuck's sake.
I know. And speaking of that, I think he has arguably the best beat selection of all time when you're looking at his work with Kanye West, with Just Blaze, with someone like No ID,
like Timbo
as
Yeah,
well.
Absolutely.
Fucking amazing ear for beats. I also think that Jay-Z, his process, I heard once that Rick Rubin said that when he first played him the beat for 99 Problems, Jay-Z went and sit in the back on the couch. He was humming to the beat for 10 minutes, then went straight into the booth, and off the top of his fucking head, rap that entire song.
Yeah, even Travis Scott was talking about his rapping abilities and his freestyling abilities. And I will say this, he has one of my favorite cadences of all time when it comes to hip-hop. And I love his voice too. I think it's super original. And with the presence that he brings onto a microphone, it's luxurious. Like, you want to stop and listen when Jay-Z's talking because you know that he's giving you knowledge on a different level.
Let me ask you this. Do you think he also has had the best arc out of any rapper? Because when you're looking at what he's done in terms of coming from the bottom, from the sewers of the Marcy Projects, to going to the top of the charts, to being at the top of everybody's best rappers list, to fucking being one of hip-hop's first billionaires and turning into a mogul, like, do you think he's had the best kind of legacy, let's say, as an artist?
Yeah, I think his career has definitely been the most decorated as well, and that was something else I included in my notes. Like, you can't ignore the presence that he's had as the presence that his music has created him. I guess I could put it like that. So I think this is the first time I'm gonna have to take Kendrick out of this conversation. I want to go Jay-Z.
It's tough. I think, again, subject matter, I go with Kendrick, but even from a rapping perspective, his double entendres from Hove, they're fucking immaculate too. This is a really tough one for me.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Oh, man. Is Kendrick really a better rapper?
Because I got to see the longevity factor. Again, 4 classics. You could say that Kendrick has them as well. 4 different. I think his classics, in my opinion, are Damn, are GKMC, and Tip of a Butterfly, but dominant in 4 different decades. That's hard to play with.
Yeah,
you know?
I think Jay-Z gets the nod also because he's never left that competitive stance. Like Kendrick, you have someone who said that the whole point of him wanting to be the best rapper was to always push himself forward. He's kind of removed himself from that.
I don't see that as a knock,
Jay-Z in 2022, and God did, still is making claims to be the best. And to me, to be the best, you have to believe that you're the best.
Absolutely. Okay,
But anyways,
let's
Jay-Z
go on.
moves on.
Jay-Z moves on. Let's go on to the next matchup. Jay-Z versus Andre 3K. This is going to be an interesting one. I want to say this. I think, again, like you were saying for beat selection, Andre has some of the best beat selections ever. And when people were talking about Andre, like they say, he doesn't have a solo project to back it up. I don't want to hear none of that conversation today. I think his work with Outkast is good enough.
What's crazy about that fact is just the fact that, like, we're always putting him into these conversations despite him not having a solo album. It makes it all that more impressive to me.
Yeah, and you also get all-time great verses from him, like The Art of Storytelling, or let's say B.O.B. Like, he has some standout classics within the genre, and on the same level as Kanye when it comes to beat selection for me. I think that's a big thing for me. Like, listening to a lot of, like, Outkast's soundscapes and their production choices and the production coming from him as well, like, that was all him, bro, and I think that's a big part of a rapping performance for me, too, because the fluidity of which, a rapper is able to perform on a certain production, or, how it's matched with the performance is super important for me, and I feel like Andre is also one with the beat, his quirkiness, the flows, the singing performances. I think he's a better rapper than Jay-Z.
You think he's a better rapper than Jay-Z?
I think he's a better rapper than Jay-Z. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah,
I don't know about that. I think, listen, Andre is definitely known for his oddities. He's known for being able to transform his voice, alter his different inflections. He has great storytelling cuts.
Arguably the best rapper from the South as well.
Yeah, he definitely carried the South for a while as well. Dropped classic album after classic album from the 90s to the 2000s. I think Jay-Z is the better rapper. I think that I definitely think that bar for bar, I'm going Jay-Z. I think that in terms of the amount of classic albums, I'm going Jay-Z. And I think that even just in terms of dominance, when you hear Hove on a fucking track, bro, there's a different aura in the room.
But like even at that, like I feel like there's more of an exclusivity factor also to Andre 3K and Outkast's catalog. That's another thing. They don't have a single miss. It's arguably top 3 within the genre. Can't say the same thing for Jay-Z on that part.
Yeah, but how active? Jay-Z's been way more active. He's had more longevity. Look at 444.
But that's a good but that's a good thing though in my eyes for 3 Stacks, because the thing is that we know if 3 Stacks comes back what he's gonna do. Look at Life of the Party last year. It was Song of the Year for us, and it was probably because of 3 Stacks on that first verse. And I want to say it too for 3 Stacks that when you have to look at the versatility within his rapping, he's a lot more versatile of a rapper than Jay-Z is. He could attack a lot more different productions than Jay-Z can. I feel like even when it comes to storytelling in certain instances, you will find better highlights within 3 Stacks' career. That's why I think I have him over it, bro.
I can't budge on that, right? I think it has to be Hove on here, bro.
No. Okay, listen.
Listen, if you really feel that, because listen, I don't see Jay-Z making it to the end of this either way. I don't think Jay-Z is the best rapper of all time, so just to change it up, let's put Andre 3000.
You want to put Andre 3000?
Let's put Andre 3000. Let's match him up against Lupe Fiasco. And listen, when it comes to Lupe, I think that he's definitely one of the most underrated MCs. I think that he is someone that always operates on a high concept level. When you're looking at albums like The Cool, when you're looking at albums like Tetsuo and Youth, he's always had some of the best albums from the underground. I think that what's amazing about Lupe is that he's an artist that you truly have to study. And I've listened to an album like Food and Liquor, 100 times, and on my 101st listen, I'm going to pick up on new layers behind his writing.
Speaking about that, I think he's delivered one of the greatest hip-hop performances of all time with a song like Mural. I think that goes without being said. Like, you could definitely make an argument that that is one of the best displays of lyricism that we have ever seen within the genre. And also, when it comes to Lupe, you can make the argument that he is probably one of the most technically gifted rappers of all time when it comes to rhyme schemes and when it comes to providing connective tissue in the writing. Like, he'll connect certain words and syllables from one of his like first lines on a verse all the way to the 15th, and somehow it makes sense in the way that it's all structured, and even his entendres, the ideology.
It's still 3 Stacks.
I still give it to 3 Stacks though, because I feel like the catalog is better though. I feel
more
like
classic songs.
More classic songs. Mic presence. I do prefer Andre 3000. He has better beat selection.
Also, his ability to just blur genres from album to album, bringing in influences of R&B, bringing in influences of funk on an album like Aquemini. That was all super well done, and I think that he does have more range. So 3 Stacks is going to stay as the best rapper, but now he has a tough fucking opposition, bro. He has my favorite rapper of all time, Biggie. And the thing about Biggie is that I feel like he was always destined to be the ultimate rapper when you're looking at his coaching that he received from a jazz saxophonist who taught him phrasing, who taught him diction, who taught him, scatting and all these different techniques as a vocalist. I think that really morphed him into the rapper that we all know and love. I also think that Biggie has the best flow of all time.
Perfected gangster rap and is the best within that subgenre as well. The master of flow and cadence, I will say that too. Countless classic songs and some of the most defining songs within the genre. Example, with songs like Juicy, songs like Hypnotize. And if you want, great storytelling cuts within his discography, you have that too with songs I Got a Story to Tell, So there's different ways you could go with it. And I also think that when you look at Biggie, you could also make the argument for his catalog because he has two 10 on 10s.
Two flawless masterpieces.
Two flawless masterpieces, So I think he will get it over.
I think that, what's impressive about Biggie too is that he went pop while staying lyrical as fuck during an era where nobody was really fucking doing that, bro.
No, yeah, it was on a different level for any other person in the 90s, and I think that's why I have Biggie going on to this next round. I'll give it to Biggie here, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Biggie is going to advance over 3 stacks, but now we have, again, bro, one of those conversations that people always go back to.
Yes, sir.
We have Biggie versus Tupac, and where to begin here? Just... they're so different, bro, in so many regards. I mean...
okay, what I want to say about Tupac, though, is I want to start off with the conscious material, because I feel like he's created some of the best conscious material of all time with songs like Brenda's Got a Baby, Keep Your Head Up, Changes, and more. You could go through his catalog, find beautiful written songs on there. All-time great classic songs within the genre as well. Songs like California Love, Ambitions as a Rider, All Eyes on Me, and more. You could find more within that. Was the star of the most dominant record label within the 90s when it comes to Death Row Records and pushing that whole movement on the West Coast. Super dominant within the 90s as well. I think he has the best track presence also out of any other MC on this list.
Not a better track presence than Biggie,
bro.
That's for fucking sure. Listen, this is what I'll give. This is what I'll give Tupac. All right, he's nowhere near being the best lyricist ever. But he is the most influential rapper of all time. When you're looking at the amount of artists that have either sampled Tupac or mentioned him in his lyrics or have actually had songs named Tupac, like Future, or someone like, the guys from Brockhampton. Like, there's so many artists that go back to his catalog and reference him, even in terms of messaging and his whole political conscious movement with songs like Brenda's Got a Baby. Just... definitely next level in comparison to Biggie, but I do think that, besides Tupac being this amazing, emotive rapper who always pours his heart out, bro, the double entendres, the wordplay, the rhyme schemes, just when you hear Biggie on a song like Notorious Thugs, for instance, you're thinking to yourself, like, this is like fucking watching LeBron James in 2012 playing for the Miami Heat. Like, right now, from what I'm experiencing, no one can do it better.
Yeah, I agree with you, but like even with Tupac though, like if you want to talk about catalog, he has one of the best 3 album runs of all time.
I don't think he has albums that touch Ready to Die or Life After Death.
You could have that conversation for sure. You listen, to say Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, and the Don Illuminati, the Seventh Day Theory is not on the level of those albums. I don't think is a good take in my opinion. I agree. I think Ready to Die is the best album out of all of those, but still, like that 3 album run could be considered the best of all time, and I wouldn't look at you sideways.
No, I would not consider that the best 3 album run of all time.
It's one of for sure. It's definitely
Eminem
in that
has a better 3 album run. Outkast is a better 3 album run.
There's definitely comparisons.
I'm going
to be
Biggie
made.
here. What are you saying? I'm easily going Biggie here without a doubt.
This one
He's
was
the better
really hard
rapper
for me. This one was
you
very
gotta
hard
go Biggie.
I don't have to do anything. What should I do here?
Well,
you know what? You gave me the W. You gave me the W on 3 stacks. We'll see what happens when this later on progresses.
So Biggie advances, and now he's matched up against MF Doom. And MF Doom has always been an enigma in hip hop, and I think that
show your shirt, brother.
I got the all caps. If you guys are big fans of the pod, you've probably seen it before. Big MF Doom fan without a doubt. I think that what's impressive about Doom is that he's an artist that came from the UK who's always infiltrated the underground scene, and he's easily the best underground rapper of all time.
He's had some albums that have actually charted on the Billboard, by the way. I'm not sure if
That's
you ever
shocking. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a couple of albums. I want to go through his chart history on Billboard. It's pretty interesting. It's never really that heavy because his stuff always remained kind of low key. But even if you want to talk about alternate personas that he brought into his catalog, like Victor Vaughn, like we talked about on the podcast before, not many people were able to do that. One of the best compiled discographies and more spread over time discographies with let's say albums like Mad Villainy, let's say stuff like Food, let's say Operations Doomsday. Like there's so many different things you could go through in his catalog that will convince you of the conversation. And talk about a technical writer, someone that's gifted technically. I mean,
the best abstract lyricist ever.
The Figaro flow, bro, is just absolutely delicious.
Not only that, but this guy is one of the only rappers to have multiple classic albums under different aliases. If you're looking at MF Doom, if you're looking at Victor Vaughn, if you're looking at King Ghidorah, I mean, bro, who the fuck else could say they've done that? And what's also cool is that MF Doom has had all these accomplishments and has had influenced a lot of mainstream rappers, while not ever having to go into his personal life, without ever going into trends.
Yeah.
It's like hip-hop's beautiful secret. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? If you appreciate the craft of rhyming, listen to a song like Meat Grinder, bro. He's literally rapping entire lines together, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It's multis on a different level. I don't know here. I think...
Yeah, this is where I'm going to...
I think I would say Biggie, but... I could go either way.
I could go either way on this one too, but I would prefer Biggie.
Yeah,
I would go with Biggie on this one.
I think Biggie is still the better
rapper. Let me know how you
rapper.
guys feel about that choice in the comment section. But
It's tough because MF Doom has more classics. But next up, Lauryn Hill.
Lauryn Hill.
This is interesting just because Lauryn Hill, obviously, similarly to Biggie, doesn't have that much material out.
Absolutely not. And I think that's what's so cool about her discography is the exclusivity factor. And I find that so respectable from a rapper and you know, even an artist, because like she could have gone into R&B, she could have gone into so many different areas of music, and she always wanted to keep it, you know, to her perfection and her liking. And Lauryn Hill's never put out a bad verse. I think she's the best rapper at fusing singing and rapping at the same time in any given track.
Yeah.
That's those seamless transitions between, you know, choruses and verses, and even like nice melodic flows within her verses. Always seamlessly well done. Best of all time in that category as well. And maintained her integrity. You know, I think that's the biggest part for Lauryn Hill for me, is like there's a stigma around their catalog where like this is hip hop royalty. You know, you have to have this.
To me, it's more just a timeless factor of her music. Like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is about to hit its 25-year anniversary, and all of those songs, all of them, still sound like they could have been made today.
Exactly. Even her work with Wyclef Jean, Praz with the Fugees for the score. Like you have flawless projects within her catalog, and I definitely think she deserves to be at this table.
But I still think Biggie is going to have to advance here, and I think the fact of that is, as much as I've enjoyed Lauryn's crossover records, you know, that go into hip-hop, into soul, into R&B, and so on and so forth, I think Biggie has just given us way more to offer in terms of lyrical offerings over the years. Not all of Miseducation is hip-hop based, so I feel you're kind of lacking that full rap album from Lauryn.
Yeah, but it kind of works to her advantage though, just because like the R&B and hip hop fuse sound that she provided on there was beautiful.
No, I know. We're talking about the best rapper of all time.
Yeah, but I think that's a skill on its own. Like to be able to harmonize and sing and like make it so seamless at the same time with your rapping versus a skill. But yes, I will go Biggie on this one. Biggie advances for me, but now we have the Battle of New York, Biggie versus Nas.
Two kings of New York.
Absolutely. So listen, is this the round where your favorite rapper of all time is gonna get knocked out, or what's gonna happen here, bro? What are you saying?
Man, I think that, you know, the impact that Nas has had, the longevity. We have never seen before a rapper have the second wind that Nas has had, bro. When you're talking about what he's done in the 2020s decade, winning a fucking Grammy at 47 years old for King's Disease, following it up with an even better album in King's Disease 2, and that same year putting out Magic, where it sounds like you're listening to fucking 96 Nas off of something like It Was Written. The ability that he's had to maintain his excellence as a rapper, I think that when you're looking at even the song concepts, a song like Rewind, where he's telling you a story backwards, a song like I Gave You Power, where he's personifying a gun. This is the most imaginative rapper that we've ever had grace hip-hop. I think that he's the best lyricist we've ever had in the genre.
Debatable, though. It is debatable for the best lyricist, though.
I feel like ever since people heard that 16-bar verse on Live at the Barbecue in 91, people were sold. But when he made that claim to be a lyrical assassin, he is. Over.
And I think that because I had written it down, like when it comes to rhyme schemes, entendres, song concepts, vocabulary, flow, cadence, he has it all, bro. Like he is the complete package. There is literally nothing missing from his arsenal. You want to go on to material, has some of the most iconic songs of all time with New York State of Mind, If I Ruled the World, and much more. He has arguably the best rap album of all time with Illmatic, and even looking at, you know, It Was Written, that's easily a top 5 album from the 90s in my opinion, bro. I would have it in my top 5 or top 10.
That's a good take. That's a good take.
He's been dominant for 4+ decades, so he's even been able to compare on Jay-Z's level on that. And I didn't have him as the best lyricist of all time time, I had him locked in on my top 3.
I think it's obvious that, just because of how much more material and how much more time he's had to show his greatness, that Nas has to advance here. But let me ask you this. Do you think that if Biggie, had a full career, that he could have surpassed him?
Oh yeah, who knows? I mean, it would have been open play, right? So, what would have happened after life after death, right? Like, what albums would have came out of it? You would have had some collaboration albums with Jay-Z. You would have had some other things that would have put him into that conversation. And even talking about Nas's discography, besides Nostradamus, like, there's no duds in there. There's really nothing. Especially when it comes to beat selection and rapping performances, you're not going to find any duds.
God's Son is great, Untitled.
Absolutely. There's Stillmatic is fantastic. So there's a lot of great quality within Nas's discography. He advances, but let's put up Nas versus Lil Wayne. A lot of people consider Lil Wayne as the GOAT for a multiple different reasons. I think when it comes to just being able to put together these super clever punchlines and being able to master that art, he is the best in that lane. And
best mixtape rapper ever.
He is the best mixtape rapper of all time. You have the No Ceiling series, you have the Drought series, you have the Dedications, you have Sorry for the Wait, and much more.
Not the best album catalog, though, I'll be honest
but
with you.
He has a legendary album run, though,
He
with
does.
the Carters, and I think that it makes up for his solo album catalog. Plus, I think that Wayne, out of any other rapper on this list, managed to have the best quality control while still maintaining all the quantity he had coming up. There was a time from 2005 to 2010 where I think it was like fucking 10 mixtapes deep, and 3 installments into the Carter. It was ridiculous.
To
and
me,
everything was slapping.
Wayne gets a lot of points just because, to me, he's the best hijacker in rap history. I mean, if you were living within that later 2000s era and you had a hit song out, you weren't safe because Wayne could pop up and body you over your own production.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but when you're looking at Wayne, I feel like his work ethic was fucking different, bro. The amount of mixtapes that he would drop consecutively in a year. Also, just looking at listen, he was a high volume shooter, and when you're a high volume shooter, not all those shots are gonna land in the basket. So I think that's the thing when you're looking at albums like Rebirth. That whole rock-inspired album
Funeral
didn't really
wasn't
pan off
too
well.
great for me.
I also think that some of his performance when he has that hyper auto-tune doesn't ring off the best either. But in terms of just those quirky one-liners and punchlines, he's an alien, bro. No one can think of the crazy shit that Wayne has for bars.
That's very true. And I think that also, looking at the Carter 5, just talking about his longevity, it was a great delivered album, and that dropped later on into his career, and it just shows how he's been able to keep up. 2021 had the best future run of the year. So I think Wayne could definitely be slotted into this conversation, but does not pass Nas for me. But let's keep going on with this. When I was talking about the best lyricist of all time, the reason why I didn't have Nas, slotted in at that number 1 position was because of Black Thought. And I think that Black Thought has to come into this conversation right now just because his work with the Roots alone permits him to be able to get into this conversation. Plus, I do think that when you have to look at it from a raw lyric standpoint, if someone were to tell me he's the best of all time, I could agree with you. I would not have any sort of frustration towards that, because even looking at the ideologies, the philosophies, the spirituality that he pours into his writing, the political streams of consciousness, there is really a full circle moment when it comes to his skills as a writer. And I think where he lacks a bit, though, is on the solo catalog. He has great solo catalog.
But that's what I want to say, though, is that what's so impressive about Black Thought is that he was the frontman of the best and most revolutionary hip-hop band of all time with the Roots. So he had that to back up his legacy enough, and then he said, fuck it, I'm in my 40s, let me start carving out my solo career. And now he's put out amazing projects with the Streams of Thoughts, with the Cheat Codes album that came out with Danger Mouse this year, songs like Aquamarine, bro. I mean, him talking about certain peace treaties from the 1800s. That's what I love about Black Thought, is that he's the ultimate hip-hop teacher in terms of the historical context that he brings to the table. I think that he's definitely one of the ultimate wordsmiths that we've ever seen, enriched vocabulary, and I just think that he's a full package. He checks all the boxes. I just don't think that he has maybe the classic material that Nas does.
Yeah, he Nas has classic songs over him. He has the albums over him. And I think that when it comes to the lyricism, you could even argue that Nas is better. He has more maybe a complete package when it comes to that level,
bro,
too.
Even when you're looking at something like the Lost Tapes, which is all scrap songs, you have songs like Blaze of 50 or Purple on there, which would be better than most material from other artists' entire catalog. So,
that's very true.
There's so many arguments to be made for Nas, so he's going to advance over Black Thought. Next up, we have Rakim, who is seen to be the godfather of lyricism, the man that revolutionized the art of flow.
Yes.
Flow wasn't even being used as a fucking word until Rakim showed up,
Yeah.
and no one was using internal rhymes. Nobody was using multi-syllabic rhyme schemes until Rakim. So to me, hip-hop, he was the turning point. He is the blueprint that all of our favorite rappers follow, from Kendrick to Nas to everybody. Rakim is the blueprint, bro. And he does have classic material with Eric B. If you're looking at
Paid
Follow
in
the
Full.
Leader, Paid in Full. Amazing albums.
You know what was sad though is I was going through his solo catalog too, and the 18th letter is not on DSPs anymore.
I know, bro.
I was so cheesy. I didn't even know what happened. I was going back and I wanted to do a little re-listen, and I'm like, fuck, okay, this is not on here. But yeah, also let's talk about his smooth, calm, and flow, like that smooth flow and calm cadence that he has. Like so many rappers had spoken about this, where they felt like he was one of the first rappers to start speaking on the microphone, not shouting into it. And I think that he's also the best rapper to come from the 80s,
Yeah.
and he also had an incredible run in the 90s, and he had great studio projects to go on to it. As you said, the influence is immaculate. You could talk about his rhyme schemes and all of the internal rhyme schemes he was able to put into his verses. It's a strong case versus Nas, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I would still have Nas advancing.
I
over him.
still have Nas advancing. I think that if he had put out, I would say maybe more recognizable material in the 90s and had a bit more of an evolution over time, then maybe he would get that top spot. But he's definitely a hip-hop legend who should be in your top 10, if not top 15.
Yeah,
As a
absolutely.
fucking
No,
lock,
I
bro.
think you have to have him in there. But let's go into the last rapper for today. So we have Nas versus Yassine Bey, Mos Def. And I really wanted to include Mos Def into this conversation because I feel like kind of a big mystery within rap music, like people know him for, his I believe, hold on a second, my bad.
For Black on Both Sides?
For Black on Both Sides, even his work with Black Star. But people don't know like how skilled he is as a fucking MC, bro. Like when you listen to his track presence, the smooth flow and cadence, his ability to be able to take all of these streams of consciousness but fit them all into one verse. Like even looking what he did on his 2022 album, what's it called again? My bad. It was
No Fear of Time.
No Fear of Time, my bad. Like that wasn't released on DSPs, but still one of the most solid, records of the year. It's really incredible with what he's able to do.
Absolutely. And he has, multiple classics on his own. If you're looking at Black on Both Sides, if you're looking at The Ecstatic, which has amazing production from Madlib and more. I think that, the thing with Mos Def is that he's always had one foot in hip-hop and one foot out of hip-hop.
Yeah.
Of course, he pursued his acting career. He also kind of took a bit of an exile to Africa at one point. So he doesn't have that lengthy of a catalog, but I think that I love him for how spiritually driven he is. Like, he always reminded me of, like, kind of being similar to, like, Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool analogy because he's kind of like this wise elderly figure that whenever he comes in, he doesn't come often, whenever he shows up, he has these forward-thinking philosophies, and he's always rapped about black plight. He's always kind of been super conscious, and when you're looking at, let's say, backpack rappers per se, he's definitely in the top of that list alongside, Talib Kweli and so many other artists. But yeah, I just think that overall,
Still goes to Nas.
it goes to Nas. I think he's the best rapper of all time.
I think Nas is the best rapper of all time. And I was a bit confused because I thought you were gonna put Biggie over Nas. I thought he was gonna go all the way for you, bro. I thought you were gonna have him going all the way for this conversation.
From a non-biased point of view,
Yeah.
I can't deny the fucking greatness.
Did you think
that
I was gonna
Nasir
have
Jones.
Kendrick going longer a bit in this conversation?
I thought so. But listen, bro, what's amazing about Kendrick is that he's the only one in his generation that's being compared to these fucking legends already,
absolutely.
bro.
J. Cole is in the conversation as well, but I think he makes less of a case than Kendrick does. So, guys, let us know where we got it right. Let us know where we got it wrong. And thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. And as Lou said at the beginning, let me know who you guys think is the best rapper of all time. Name me your top 3 if you guys want. But if this is a new experience to you and you are new to NFR Podcast, please hit the like button, the subscribe button. We're doing content like this on a daily basis. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight, and we'll catch you in the next one.